From the Iranian democracy movement to the United States, if you really want to help, stop helping. You are here on the map. Protests, crackdowns, international sanctions, Iran under pressure from inside and out. We look at the looming economic crisis and the state of dissent in the Islamic Republic. We'll see how both are weakening the power of President Mamoud Ahmadinejad. And we went to war in Afghanistan to save Afghan women from the Taliban, right? Remember that? Best-selling author Ann Jones on the status of women today. Hello, I'm Avi Lewis. Welcome to On the Map. The International Atomic Energy Agency is on its way back to Iran at the invitation of the Iranian government. It's the latest step in a complex dance around the country's nuclear program. And it's a dance accompanied by the persistent drumbeat for U.S. intervention in the regime. Yesterday, we went behind the story in Venezuela, trying to cast a little light and shadow on America's bad guy in its own backyard. Tonight, we do the same in Iran, which is usually portrayed as a rogue state with an unpronounceable president who is manically anti-Israel and has his finger on the button. There is more to the story. Here's the part we don't hear. President Mamoud Ahmadinejad won a landslide election in 2005, largely due to his promise to bring the country's oil money to every dinner table. But less than 2 years later, he's in trouble. The biggest story inside Iran right now is that the economy is melting down. Inflation is at 15%, unemployment is up by a third, all despite record high oil prices.
And what remains for us Iranians is to work from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. to make ends meet.
Here's something else you don't hear much about. Ahmadinejad is facing mounting resistance. Student protests caught on cell phone video.
They're shouting death to the dictator, furious about the way students have been banned from studying because they criticize the government.
An indomitable women's movement, its most famous face, that of Shirin Ebadi, the Nobel Prize-winning lawyer central to a campaign to get 1 million signatures demanding equal rights for women. A tenacious labor movement, including a recent strike by bus drivers. And last month, 57 economists wrote the president a scathing public letter attacking his handling of the economy. So, what does the Iranian regime do when it's in trouble, feeling the heat? Crack down, of course. 30 women's rights activists arrested in one day this spring, some sentenced to years in prison. Student activists arrested in May, still being held in solitary confinement. And the leader of the bus drivers' union sentenced to 5 years. And of course, the most reported state repression this spring, tens of thousands detained for wearing un-Islamic clothing. The problem with trying to understand Iran through the news is getting straight information through the thicket of agendas on both the regime side and the U.S. medias. Meanwhile, inside Iran, the situation and the conversation are sophisticated and complex. Tonight, we will try to scratch the surface. Our first guest is a professor at the University of Southern California who has worked closely with Nobel Prize winner Shirin Ebadi as her translator and co-writer. Mohammad Sahimi joins me now from Los Angeles. Mohammad, welcome to On the Map.
Thank you for having me in your program.
So let's start with the latest news. The Iranian government has been cracking down on dissent, and then all of a sudden they've invited the International Atomic Energy Agency back into the country. What are we to make of these mixed messages?
Well, internally they would like to present a united front to the world. So they are trying to put down any dissenting voice so that if things went rough with the International Atomic Energy Agency and the Security Council, there would not be much dissenting voice coming from within Iran. The other part of it is that the government of President Ahmadinejad has a security view of everything. They look at everything suspiciously. They think that the West is after them. They think that the West is after overthrowing them. So they look at everything suspiciously. On the other hand, Iran is trying to find a face-saving formula in order to avoid harsher sanctions by the Security Council. So they are trying to come up with compromises with the European Union. The goal would be two-part. First, to split the United States and European Union and to create a fracture between them. And second, to avoid and prevent the Security Council from approving harsher sanction measures against Iran.
Let's talk a little bit more about the political persona of Mamoud Ahmadinejad. He's portrayed as this sort of all-powerful figure with his finger on the nuclear button and his eye manically fixed on Israel. What's your take on that? How much power does he really have in Iran?
The West has been trying, I would say cleverly, to present President Ahmadinejad as the most powerful radical on the face of the earth. They are trying to say that he makes all the decisions regarding Iran's foreign policy and national security, but that's not true. Iran's main decision regarding the foreign policy and national security are not made by Iran's president. Rather, they are made by the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And when he wants to make a decision, he does extensive consulting with all centers of power in Iran.
Let's talk a little bit about this particular political moment in Iran. We hear very little here about the economic crisis that Ahmadinejad is facing, but we have heard some small news reports of this letter from 57 economists publicly criticizing the president's economic plan. Does that reflect a deep dissatisfaction among the population with what's going on in the economy?
Economically, yes, it does, because President Ahmadinejad is a populist. He and his team really didn't have a comprehensive program for reviving Iran's economy. They thought that when they come into office, by just spending huge sums of money on various projects and handouts to people and providing subsidy and so on, people would be happy. But that created huge inflationary pressure on the economy. They haven't improved the job situation. The unemployment has actually gone up. They have wasted basically Iran's reserves of foreign exchanges. So that has created a deep crisis in Iran's economy, and the letter by the 57 economists actually reflects that. People are not happy, people are not satisfied with the way the economy is going.
Can you give me a quick overview of the state of dissent in Iran today?
Well, I mean, the picture that the Western media has been trying to make of Iran is a dormant society in which there is no dissenting voice. That's not true. We have many political groups and parties. We have over 4,000 NGOs in Iran. They are all very active in political affairs. There is a democratic movement in Iran. It is not with a strong, it doesn't have a very strong leadership yet, but the fact is the democratic movement is very much alive and kicking, as we say here in the United States. There is a student dissent. We have many student organizations all over Iran in various universities. So Iran is actually a very vibrant society. It is true that the right wing has been trying hard to crack down, but experience over the 100